Back here on Southeast Sports Plus, another week of the college football season in the books. We got a lot more clarity about who we think will be in the college football playoff. Gerhard Mathangani, Patrick Walsh with you. You mentioned it on the front end about Ole Miss, and this is a football team, in my opinion, they're playing lights out right now. They bounced back after that loss against Georgia last week with a huge win on the road. And I'll tell you what Lane Kiffin has been able to do with this football program has been outstanding, and especially to put 30-plus up on that defense. The Oklahoma defense, which has been very, very good as of late, it really showed me a lot. So Ole Miss, the Rebels improved to 7-1 overall. There you see it, 34-26, the final score in Norman. What'd you make of Ole Miss's big win on Saturday?
I think this game told me more about Ole Miss than it did about Oklahoma.
Yeah.
In my opinion, after that tough loss, they had every reason, especially Trinidad Chambliss, his first SEC road test. He didn't have the outcome he wanted, but Lane Kiffin, compared him to a pitcher pitching in Fenway.
Yes.
And then he had to go to Yankee Stadium here this week.
Right.
I think what Trinidad was able to do in this game was probably one of the most impressive performances of the whole season so far, especially with how poor the weather was. I mean, I remember I was on a plane up to good old Morgantown, West Virginia this weekend, and I was watching the game. I'm like, man, it is really pouring there.
Yeah, it was coming down hard. And it was one of those things where you would think that would make a team shy away from throwing the football. And, of course, they had a very strong running game.
Yeah.
But Chambliss put it in the air 44 times. I mean, they had 44 passing attempts from him, 2 from Austin Simmons because they got in the red zone. They gave Austin Simmons a little run there. So they were 24 of 46 through the air. So they did not shy away at all from running the football, from passing the football. And then, of course, they were running it as well with Kewan Lacey. But I'm just very, very, very impressed by what we've seen so far from this passing game and Trinidad Chambliss, a.k.a. Winnidad Chambliss.
Winnidad Chambliss is right. That's a great nickname.
That is a great nickname.
He better go with that. But before the year, everyone thought Austin Simmons was going to be the guy, a nice gunslinger, lefty. Came in, he didn't have a great game against Georgia State, and then got hurt in the Kentucky game, threw 2 interceptions before he got hurt. And then it was Trinidad's time to take over, and honestly, there's no way Austin can win this job back now, in my opinion.
Right.
I feel like it's a done deal. It's not like Bledsoe Brady level, where it's
comparable.
But it is comparable.
Yeah. And I think that what you get with Trinidad is you get improvement. So even when there's a dip, like last week against Georgia, I think I read it he had 1 yard passing in the fourth quarter against the Georgia Bulldogs. And then when you take what he did in the second half of this game, I think more than 100 yards there in the third and fourth quarter, it lets you know that this kid can continue to keep building. And I'm right there with you. I think that Lane Kiffin will. He loves Austin Simmons. Of course, he represented Ole Miss at SEC Media Days. And so it's not that he doesn't like Austin Simmons, and he tries to find creative ways to put him in there and just keep defenses on their toes. But you're right. I think Trinidad Chambliss has done everything right to be able to win this job and be able to secure this team now going to the playoffs. You mentioned their schedule coming up. You have South Carolina, the Citadel, Florida, Mississippi State. They'll be favorites in every game.
Oh, yeah.
They'll be a favorite in every single game going into that one. And it seems to me, I don't know if they'll play for the college football playoff. They need some havoc to go on above them because there are still 2 undefeated teams in the SEC. You have Texas A&M, you have Alabama.
You mean the SEC Championship?
SEC Championship, yeah. And I think they'll make it to the playoffs, obviously. But SEC Championship, there's 2 undefeated squads, the Aggies and Alabama.
Right.
And then Georgia is ahead of them. Of course, Georgia will also have the head-to-head over Ole Miss as well. So they'll need a couple teams to stumble in order to make it to Atlanta. But I feel like they'll feel very strongly that they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about the question: are the Rebels a college football playoff lock now? And I feel like they probably are because this was arguably the toughest game remaining on their schedule.
Yep.
I mean, who knows what South Carolina is going to bring? That's a home game, though.
Yeah.
We saw South Carolina host Alabama this weekend and played them pretty tough, but we'll see how they do away from home because, I mean, you can't even talk about the Death Valley game anymore because Death Valley is living valley at this point.
Yep.
Both of the Death Valleys are living valleys.
Yeah, like the old Les Miles quote that Death Valley where opponents' dreams go to die. I think it's complete opposite now, where opponents' dreams stay alive.
Come alive.
Because they come alive after that big game. It wasn't just through the air, though. Also on the ground. Keywan Lacey was sensational. And the numbers don't blow you away, but he was so very effective in the timing of a lot of these runs. A 28-yard run, a pair of touchdowns, 78 yards there on the ground. To me, when a team is balanced, and it looks like Ole Miss can be balanced, it looks like Ole Miss will be balanced throughout the end of the season, that's what makes a team very dangerous because they can run the football effectively.
Yeah, it's not so much the rush yards that really stick out to me. It's more so the fact that he has 12 touchdowns this year.
Yes.
I mean, you get in the red zone. Trinidad's going to get you the ball down the field.
Absolutely.
I mean, explosive plays, that's basically the name of the Ole Miss offense.
Right.
I think they had like a 50-yard completion on the first drive of the game that set them up for a field goal. It's being able to punch it in the red zone that's going to make you – it's going to take you from being a good team to a great team.
Yep.
And I think having a guy like Keywan Lacey to just be able to hand the ball off to keep, the defense on their toes.
Exactly.
But also Trinidad can just lay one in there whenever he needs. I mean, it really is a two-pronged attack that, I mean, it's going to be tough.
It's lethal.
If Brent Venables cannot stop this offense,
right.
Who can?
Who can? It's a good question, and I think that they'll go undefeated throughout the rest of the year, finish 11-1, and make the college football playoff. We'll see if they can sneak into Atlanta. Of course, a lot of things have to happen. Got a chance to hear from Lane Kiffin after the game about his team, his win, and their resiliency in Norman.
Yeah, I think that's how this team is. I kind of felt coming in the year like we don't have maybe as many elite guys as last year. Or that they're younger, like Keywan, Winnie. So you're going to need these wins. You're going to need close ones. Not what every game has been one score, right? It feels like. And you're going to need guys to make significant plays. Daquan was very limited today in what he could do. I actually tried to, take him out. Not that it was a medical non-clearancing. I just felt he was playing with a major injury today, and he just put himself back in, and so it's really cool to have guys like that. We live in a world that they ain't all like that anymore. They start listening to agents and their draft status, and they sit out as soon as they got an injury. So really cool by him.
Really interesting there. He kind of gave a peek behind the curtain on what some of these guys do, and he's saying that our guys are basically bucking the trend of what we've seen in major college football. A slip to the other side with Oklahoma, because this is a program that they were absolutely rolling. And then, of course, the Auburn game happens. They win the game, but they lose their quarterback. He's out for 17 days.
You win, but at what cost?
Exactly. And then so they get the Auburn game. They, of course, beat Kent State with Michael Hawkins Jr. And then John Mateer comes back in the Red River rivalry. They score only 6 points in that game. Then you think, okay, that's a formidable loss. That's okay. You could get away with that. But since then, it still hasn't looked the same as it did in the first 5 weeks of the season. What do you make here of Oklahoma now sitting here with a pair of losses?
Yeah, I feel like rushing to get back, and I know Mark from Oklahoma City came on and said this too. He did not understand the rush to get back for the Texas game. I mean, you could have afforded a loss to Texas, and your college football playoff hopes would not have been tanked. What you could not afford was John Mateer rushing to get back, and for him to play like this since then. Those 3 interceptions did all come in the Red River rivalry, but last 2 games, only 1 touchdown pass in each game. But, I mean, before his injury, he was the rushing attack and the passing attack. I mean, he was the whole offense for Oklahoma.
Yes.
Ever since he's come back, he hasn't really ran for touchdowns. I mean, the rushing yards are definitely down. The carries are still there.
Right.
But
just not the same production. It hasn't been the same production at all, and it leaves a lot of people's heads scratching about where this team is, because you don't really know, and of course he's going to say his hand's fine and everything else, but he just simply has not played the same way that he did in the first 5 or so weeks of the season. We got a chance to hear from QB1 in Norman.
Yeah, I mean, you can't miss opportunities when they're there. I had a lot of misreads, and I thought the guys played well, but didn't take advantage of all the opportunities. 1 for 3 in the red zone for touchdowns. You have to score in the red zone in this league and against that offense. You have to score. And we didn't do that. Yeah, I emphasized it in practice, throwing the ball down the field, and then I just missed. Like, it can't happen in that situation. Something I got to learn from, something I have to be better. Like, period. Got to be better.
And things don't get any easier this week as they go to Knoxville, Tennessee to play the 14th ranked Tennessee Volunteers there at Neyland Stadium.